Good morning, friends. Today I want to once again expand on something I mentioned yesterday as we read the story of Jesus calming the storm out on the Sea of Galilee. And that is that one reason the disciples were so afraid was that they had no control over their situation. When the wind is that strong and the waves are that high, then no matter how skilled a sailor you might be, as many of the disciples were, there's just not much you can do when you're out in all of that in a tiny little fishing boat. And I can only imagine that a similar lack of control is what is making our current health crisis so difficult and perhaps fearful for so many people. Because when will we go back to work? When will the kids go back to school? When will we be able to visit our loved ones in a hospital? When can we worship together in the same room again? And so many more questions. And we just don't know, and we're not in control of any of these things. And not having any control, or at the very least not having any perception of control, can certainly lead us to fear. But it can also lead to something else. It can lead us to frustration, and often enough, even to downright anger. And one thing I'm seeing on social media and many other places is a mixture of that fear and anger coming out against both our political leaders on both sides of the aisle, at both the state and national levels, and also that people are choosing their sides and then getting into bitter arguments amongst themselves. And this is nothing new. We know this is the nature of Facebook and Twitter and such because it's the nature of people. There is so much consternation over what President Trump has done or has not done. There's so much consternation over what his detractors on the other side of the aisle have done or have not done. And the cycle of fear and anger just intensifies as time goes on. But here's what we need to remember, and what I hope will be an extreme encouragement to you. Because ultimately, none of these people are in charge. Okay, none of these people are in charge. And I'm not saying that that this fact means that we as Christians should ignore politics or our government and the way it works. I don't mean that at all. But let's temper both the fear responses and the anger responses with the fact that none of these people are actually in charge. And that is my greatest comfort in all this. And trust me, I lose sight of this truth often enough to my own detriment. Just ask my wife. But this is the truth. And when we hold on to the truth, there is comfort. Because the one who is in charge of this coronavirus situation, with all its intertwining health, economic, and political aspects, is none other than the one who also has charge over the wind and the waves. And we didn't talk yesterday about the disciples' reaction to how Jesus calmed the wind and the waves, but we're going to do that briefly now. Because Jesus rebuked the sea, and after seeing how the wind and waves immediately obeyed, the disciples were filled with both fear and wonder, and they asked, "Who then is this, that even the wind and the sea obey him?" And that's what I'd like to redirect your attention to today. Whether you're more prone to get caught up in the fear and anxiety part of all that's happening, or the anger and frustration part, redirect your focus today to be on the question, who then is this that even the wind and the sea obey him? Because it is Jesus Christ, King of Kings and Lord of Lords, who is sovereign over all. And yet we seem to so easily forget that. And instead we pin our hopes on this political figure or that medical study or this projection or that. But the simple truth is that no president, no senator, no representative, no governor, no mayor, no health official, none of them can overrule the King of Kings. None of these people know more than him. They don't understand more than him. They don't perceive more than him. And in truth, nothing in this world happens without the Lord either directly causing it or allowing it. He uses both primary causes and secondary causes to do what he's going to do. And yes, I know that can easily raise lots more questions, but one thing is certain. The sovereign Lord has a purpose in all of this. And I'm so happy that the explanation doesn't stop there. Because if I just said to you, don't worry, the Lord has a purpose in all this, and if that's all I could say, then that's really not that helpful. I mean, it is true, But without any further explanation, it comes out so cliche and hollow, and especially if it's not delivered right, it comes out downright condescending. But the truth is that the Lord does have a purpose, and we know what that purpose is. He's going to use this coronavirus and all the aspects of it, the medical stuff, the political stuff, the economic stuff, all of it, to fulfill his singular ultimate purpose, which is to glorify the Father and to redeem a people for his own sake. And everything he allows will absolutely work together to fulfill that purpose. So friends, again, I say this to myself just as much as to anyone else. Don't be fearful and don't be angry. Instead, trust in the Lord of all things and lean on him only and always, for he is the one truly in charge. I love you all so much. Have a good and godly day, and if the Lord wills, I'll see you tomorrow.